out what's shaking. Today's all about share page, and I just want to walk people through some steps on how we can get kids to do some peer feedback and also have an even better product, whatever it is your product is, at the end result. So I'm going to share my entire screen, and I'm going to just kind of get started. Thanks for making time for this. I appreciate it. I know everybody is wicked busy, and maybe there'll be more people that join in later. I did initially invite this for a different time and had to change due to a conflict. So thanks for being flexible. So we know that learning is social and it's contextualized, and share page is just a simple way to get everybody's work on the same page so that it's viewable. I think kids bring even higher quality work as a result of share page. They get some feedback before it gets to the instructor. So therefore it has what I would argue as an even better end product. It also has some opportunities for clarification. So maybe student views another student's work, and that might look like this, for example, where I've posted an initial project. Emily, Elias, Grace, Daniel have all shared their links also for peers to be able to view. And then again, they get some feedback, and maybe they decide, you know what, mine doesn't have what Olivia, I noticed that Olivia included this. So now I'm going to up my game, and I'm going to make sure that I revisit the rubric to know what the expectations are. Share page can be very simple. I use this in the 4 years that I taught online, 100%. I found out that this really had the biggest gains and the best evaluation pieces were in share page. And some teachers hesitate to have student work out for all students to view. And maybe this is unique per teaching context. But I think it is important for us to be thinking about how can we get maybe an essay out on a share page so that when Emily shares hers, everybody can see it. Or maybe it's in a business ed finance class and they want to have a spreadsheet that they're working on, and they can do that in Google Sheets. It's not just the Google apps, including a presentation, but it's also thinking about packaging this as maybe a screencast so that maybe you have kids, like for example, I've seen some of the English teachers before a project at a specific table, for example, and all the kids are sharing out their initial speeches, and they get some feedback before they end up giving a final speech product. It's very similar. You could do the same thing in something like Padlet or even Lino-It, which we've used in staff meetings. So I just kind of want to give some feedback here, or give an example. So basically, teacher has kind of an initial thread post as an example, and then below this here, you have each individual student's work. I'll go into my example to show you a couple of things. Kids have to use the correct share settings, and this is noted in the presentation, so that maybe anyone can have access to that, or maybe just in terms of safety, just people in Anoka Hennepin can view that, for example, and you can toggle that. And then also, kids need to be editors of the page, and that freaks some educators out. And what people just need to realize is it's okay to relinquish control. It's okay to have kids in charge of doing the editing. You know, the nice piece about Google Apps is that there's a revision history. So if we ever have the incident of somebody maybe deleting a link, or you know, whether it's in malice or whether it's an honest mistake, you can always go back to revision history. So I guess when I go back to this, I think about, let's create some steps in this process. Again, you want to maybe give kids, if it's due on a Friday, have kids share to the share page on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and then have that be a part of the assignment. I'm going to show you an assignment in Google Classroom. One of the assignments that I would have given is that be a part of that language of the classroom assignment. And I'll show you how that looks. Again, general reminder, you have to give kids editing rights to it, whether it's on a Google Doc, whether it's on a Google slide, however it is. And that's something that you're going to want to coach kids to do. For example, if Sue's going to have kids submit some audio for a musical performance or a practice session, and they could use tools like a simple audio editor, or they could record on their phone, push it into Drive, and then share the link. That'd be an easy way for kids to listen to other kids' work and then give them feedback along the way. I don't know if that's something that you do in music yet or not, but that's something to consider also. So here's the language of the task, is basically, please turn in your link here into Classroom. And then I also give the link to the Google Doc where the share page lives. So then kids are coached, click into the link, which again looks like this, and you have to put your name and your link. A lot of times teachers will also just have kids do, you know, if I had a student, for example, named Jill Anderson, and I just wanted to do a direct link. So if I wanted this voice thread to just be a part of Jill's name, I copied that, and I can use this little chain link. This is a really key skill to use, which is hyperlinking. And you can click into this chain and you can just make that apply. So if I click chain, I give it a link, I click apply, and now anytime I see Jill's name, it just goes right to the direct link to the voice thread, for example, and I can find her assignment. Again, for this example, it is student work of a house tour. This could look very different, whether it's an essay in English, maybe it's a screencast of a presentation that they're working on in SEMS, maybe it's kind of talking through their math, being able to kind of show their work in a screencast is another way to be able to do that. So I'm going to go back to the slides. And then Amelia has an example of her presentation. And then you want to make that be a part of the language. When I see here Audio Tour de Casa, for example, from Spanish 3, I would say to kids, please offer praise push feedback to 2 of your peers and share your own link. So that's going to be part of the expectation. And maybe coach kids. Look for kids who haven't yet received it. Or maybe you up it to 3 because you want to make sure everybody's getting the feedback. Again, the goal then is to have an even better end product when it gets to the teacher's assessment of it. A phrase that I use and borrow from a former colleague of mine at Buffalo High School, Vicki Carey, did a nice job of packaging this as push, praise, feedback. Some people call it glow and grow, however you want to package it in your setting. Here again, praise is easier to give for Midwesterners, but you want to think about really coaching kids how to push kids on work, using phrases like, have you already considered? Or how could this be perceived from another lens? I would invite you to also blank. I challenge you to illuminate blank so that kids can challenge each other and not feel guilty. You know, sometimes peers, hesitate to give feedback that is critical, but you can also phrase this as, it doesn't have to be mean. It just has to challenge the work of it to really kick it up a notch and take it to the next level. So you can think of it that way in terms of doing that, inserting that comment. And the last thing I'm going to do here is if this were my link to my project, whether it's an audio tour of a home, whether it is a science lab that you are screencasting, and you know, maybe a kid's doing a lab, or maybe it's Peter Tignor's kids in culinary arts that are doing a food demo, and they just want to go in and give it some feedback. So I'm going to choose to give feedback to Cooper. Again, the reminder is highlight Cooper's name, click into insert all the way down to comment, and you would just give the text comment. Now, another feature of this within comments is you can also ping people to do this. So if I put a little plus and I put Casa's name on here, if I was giving feedback to Casa in particular, it throws a little @ symbol here, and that means it's going to ping Casa. So I might say, here's your push feedback, here is your praise feedback, and then that will also kick out an email to him. So not only is there a comment, because we don't want the comments just to kind of live there and never get visited, but then you could also think about it being pushed out by email, or maybe the second layer of this after the assignment is complete is to do a reflection. how does the evaluation line up with what the feedback that you received, for example. This is not, shiny, sleek new technology. This is using Google Docs to achieve an even better result, whether it's some kind of a project-based assignment, or it could be something that you find kids really trip up on, and you want kids to get some feedback from peers before, again, they turn it in along the way. Questions right away about SharePage, or ways that you could see other areas using this?
Daryl, my first reaction would be, so let's say, have you seen different strategies for sort of providing guidelines on like the number of peer like work that I'm trying to hold on. Let me step back and regroup here. Like, so if a student, they have all their stuff displayed, here it is on the page. Student's assignment or task is to go in and to give feedback on other students' work. Is there a particular structure that you've seen to be effective at engaging kids in that activity, right?